Cornelis van der Waal, die hoof van Navorsing by Wesgro, sluit nou via Skype by my aan en ons gesels oor Suid-Afrika se blou ekonomie. Cornelis, welcome to WINSLYN. How big is the economic contribution of this blue economy, specifically on the Western Cape, and if you have an idea on South Africa as a whole?
Good evening, Divan. It's an interesting question, that, because I don't think the full capacity of the contribution has been properly documented. Of course, South Africa has a program called Operasie Phakisa, which is a program to promote the blue economy or the oceans economy. My guesstimate is that in the Western Cape, the oceans economy contributes roughly about 10% to GDP, and to national GDP, including the other provinces, approximately 5%. Of course, South Africa has a coastline in excess of 3,000 kilometers, of which the Western Cape has approximately 1,000 kilometers. So proportionally, the Western Cape is very well endowed in terms of opportunity. And for that reason, it has a higher percentage of access to the blue economy.
So let's talk about those opportunities. Are there certain subsectors that offer particularly good opportunities for investors?
I think when we talk about the blue economy, most people will recognize commercial fishing and fish processing as probably the largest opportunity. But to be very honest, I think that the most opportunity in that space has already been taken up, and we are looking at dwindling resources, and therefore fishing wild fish the way that we have in the past is probably not quite as sustainable. So for that reason, we need to look beyond fishing. And there are many opportunities and really exciting opportunities, and specifically in the area of marine transport and manufacturing. And if the Operasie Phakisa is successful in the way that it's being envisaged, it has a potential to grow the number of people employed in the marine transport and manufacturing space from 6,000 to potentially over 50,000 people, and to grow the contribution in terms of GDP from 7 billion to 23 billion over the next decade. So marine transport and manufacturing is really an interesting opportunity. On the manufacturing side, South Africa and the Western Cape in particular is doing a sterling job in manufacturing yachts, luxury yachts, and lifecraft. And if we look at our export basket as a province, it makes up one of the top 11 export products. So yachts is a very interesting area, and it is growing. And we are only second after France in that category. Wow. Of course, there are many other opportunities, specifically in offshore oil and gas. If the Brulpara finds that we saw on the south coast close to Mossel Bay comes off, it will have a massive impact in terms of energy independence for South Africa. It will really be a massive game changer, and it will create thousands of jobs for exploration, extraction, and of course the utilization. And natural gas is such a beautiful resource to use with renewable energy at night. Aquaculture is a massive one. We really are only scratching the surface. Aquaculture is most popular in the Western Cape, where 2/3 of all producers are located. The Western Cape is responsible for nearly 90% of all South Africa's fish exports, and for that reason, it has very productive waters. So there are, a big opportunity.
Absolutely.
There.
Cornelis, often these big programs from national government, it doesn't really translate into the opportunities for smaller businesses, and it often gives, specific investments to bigger corporates. Do you see this specifically in the Western Cape having a small business focus?
There are specific areas within the blue oceans economy that I think that is ideally situated for small businesses. For instance, if we look at oceans tourism, is definitely an area where small and medium enterprise companies can get involved. There are many opportunities from adventure tourism to accommodation, bed and breakfast type facilities. So there's a significant focus on doubling the number of tourists that we have in South Africa over the next 10 years. Tourism, of course, being a major contributor to economic growth and accounting for approximately 8% of the Western Cape economy. So that definitely is one where companies can get involved. Then, believe it or not, but aquaculture is also one where small and medium enterprises can get involved, and potentially not in terms of building large-scale commercial aquaculture facilities, but being the suppliers to those facilities. And we think, for instance, in terms of kelp collection for the abalone industry.
Yeah.
Cornelis,
we often find that government is critiqued, provincial and national, for having great plans, but they lack the capacity to actually implement certain infrastructure projects. Are there certain examples of, where the Western Cape specifically has these infrastructure developments already in place?
Divan, you hit the nail on the head, and very often that is exactly where the shortcoming is, because you need a responsive government in order to unlock the potential for investors. And in the Western Cape, there's a couple of examples. I think probably the biggest and most known one is the Saldanha IDZ, the Industrial Development Zone at Saldanha, where companies can produce oil and gas and energy-related product, benefiting from significant tax breaks. So that's one example. There's also been a big focus on improving small harbours. Roughly 300 million rand has been poured into small harbours over the last number of years, making it more accessible for the users thereof and being a massive injection in coastal towns. So I think there's an opportunity. Yeah. And then very importantly, just a focus on sustainability is a big thing. So protecting the resources that we have. And I must be honest, I don't think we're doing enough as a province or as a nation to look after the resources that we do have. And if we don't, we are going to lose a very, very valuable asset.
Cornelis, very briefly, are there certain challenges or hurdles that if they were out of the way, that this program could be accelerated?
Port capacity is a big one. Giving access to people in the maintenance and overall industry, better access to facilities at port is a major one. For the yacht building industry, it's access to suitable slipways for manufactured boats. There's a big focus on access to capital and technology. As a country, we are very far removed from the international markets where things are developing very fast, and we really need that access to capital and technology. And lastly, we have to recognize the declining fish stocks. If we don't protect what we have better, we are going to lose it for future generations.
Absolutely. Cornelis, it sounds all exciting. Thank you so much.